We'll begin with a mother who wrote about her daughter, and the mother knows really nothing about parenting with real love, or very little. She's seen a Facebook Live a few times. And she writes and says, "My immediate concern is my 14-year-old daughter. For the past few months, she has been skipping classes, and her grades are slipping." And to everybody who's listening, not just to the mom, this right here is where nearly all parents fall right on their face and keep falling on their face, because most do nothing. Well, her grades are slipping. She's skipping classes. She seems withdrawn. I'm worried. I don't know what to do. That's what they do. But they don't do anything. They complain about it. They might say something about it to somebody else. They might even say something to the child, but it's just words. There's no action. Or they complain about a behavior or yell at the child or lecture, but still nothing happens. Nothing is consciously done with intention to initiate some kind of change from a dangerous behavior. If you're not diligently observing your children, in other words, really listening, things are happening that won't be good. And I say observing, not being a policeman or a detective, and usually not intruding right from the beginning. Listening is the first and most powerful thing that you can do to love your child. And parents are really bad at it. We don't do it well at all. And listening is far more than listening to words. It's listening to behavior, which is what this mother is beginning to do. We'll see if she's really listening. Now, how do I know whether she's actually listening? Well, let's see what she says next. She says, "I went through her phone and saw pictures of her vaping. Not sure what else she may be doing, but just looking for some direction on being able to effectively parent her." That's listening. She's seeing that something is awry, something is off, something smells different. And instead of just, well, what can you do? I guess it's just being 14. No. She picks up her phone and she looks at it and she sees that the kid is vaping, which I've never seen a child who was emotionally healthy, doing well, being responsible, being loving, and their only problem in life was vaping. Never seen it. It's always an indication of other things that are going on. And the more you look, the more things you'll find. This is serious stuff. Mom, get the parenting training. Why? Because it will prepare you to take the next steps in loving and teaching your daughter. And then I recommended to the mother where she begin in the training. Exactly where, what chapter, everything, what page. You have to talk to her about what you saw on the phone. And see, I sent her to the right places in the parenting training to prepare her to have this conversation with her daughter. And you have every right to look at her phone. She's going to give you "you violated my privacy" thing. Don't you even think of apologizing, not for a second. Or you will look timid and like you lack confidence, and she will discount and discard what you say. You need to talk to her until she gets what she's done. Parents think that just because they've talked to their kid, they've done something. Nah, doesn't mean anything. The kid just sits there going, "Oh, this noise will be over before long, and I can go back to whatever it was. I can go back to vaping or go back to my phone addiction or whatever it is." It's not enough to deliver a sermon. Parents say, "Well, I've talked to my child about this." Really? Did your child respond to you and indicate humble understanding? Well, in other words, no. Well, then you didn't talk to your child. You just talked at your child. So you talk until she can say back to you what's happening here. For example, this is just the beginning. She lied to you. She's hiding what she's doing. There are almost certainly other parts of her life that she's also hiding. She's vaping, which is a terrible sign all by itself, because she made the decision on her own. At age 14, that is what's called inappropriate independence. That's what it's called. It's also defiant. And you don't say whether she's vaping drugs here or just vaping some sort of flavored whatever. But the odds of her having tried drugs with other kids who are vaping are close to 100%. This is how serious problems not just begin. Her problems began when she was born. But this is where they begin to be identified. It's hard to just brush under the rug, well, she's just vaping now again, although parents do that too. Well, some parents actually with a straight face look at me and say, well, my child doesn't smoke weed that often. How old's your child? 12. But it's not that often. It's like my child only drives the car and smashes into buildings occasionally. She needs to give you her phone. Not for a day. No, at least a week. You need to find out exactly where she vapes, with whom, with what, and how often. Why keep the phone? It motivates her to pay attention to you. If she resists you, you calmly give her additional motivation by increasing the time that you keep her phone. So you say, you're fighting me, so I was going to keep your phone for a week, but now we'll make it 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever. And she keeps it up and you can go, I can count pretty high. Pay attention to my tone of voice, to my facial expression, to my concern for the child, not punishing the child. I'm getting my child's attention. I can count pretty high. I can go to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a year, and then sell your phone and you can get a phone when you move out when you're 18. I'm not joking. Well, the child's going to start paying attention at some point along this spectrum. You have to do what I'm doing with you right now. No irritation, no impatience, because the lack of anger or fear will actually startle her. Share that? If you get angry, she expects that. She's going to actually kind of close her brain and go to sleep. The lack of anger is going to puzzle her and get her attention. Keep talking and add consequences if necessary. To what point? This is the thing parents don't get. She has to get to the point with you're loving her, you're teaching her with her consequences of being humble and teachable, not just admitting she did something. So what? Yes, I robbed the bank. That's not the end of the problem. Humbly admitting, humbly being willing to listen to you. Until you're at that point, you're in kind of lockdown. This is like coronavirus. The virus spreads and keeps spreading until cultures, by whatever means, government means, suggestion, what people isolate themselves and it doesn't keep spreading. You're going to keep doing whatever it takes to get her attention and isolate this virus, this emotional virus. At age 14, you have a chance of reaching her now. Now is the time. It gets harder by the day. You try to do this with a 17-year-old, whoa, it's exponentially more difficult. She said, and I said, let me know if you have questions. She wrote again. Thanks for reaching out. I just signed up for the Ridiculously Effective Parenting program. I'm looking forward to getting started in the program. Bam. The child indicates that she's getting lost in the world, vaping. Mother says, what can I do? I provide some guidance. Then what did mother do? Well, I'm not sure it's that bad, which is what most parents do. Or it doesn't matter what comes out of their mouth other than, okay, I did it. Now what's next? Anything else is just jabber. And the virus continues to spread. So yeah, now we've got a virus, but I had a barbecue in our backyard because, this is America and we can do anything we want to do. You can, and you can spread the virus and you can be dead. I'm all in with this. This is my entire life's mission. Being here on this Facebook Live today, which is free, I'm all the way in on this, and it's a commitment I've made to the rest of my life. I'm more committed to people who are also committed. So, to Mom, you've proven that you're all the way in. So am I. So I suggested we have a Skype call, which I don't ordinarily do with people who just write in and, have questions. And remember, she started off with just, I don't know anything. I just heard about this Facebook Live, been there a few times. I got a question. She said, I don't have Skype. I have FaceTime, or we could talk by phone. I said, listen slowly. I use Skype. I'm offering my time and attention and my love for both you and your daughter. Do you want to make use of it? It's up to you. In other words, get Skype, which I'm not technologically brilliant. I just don't care. But I downloaded Skype and learned to use it inside of 5 minutes. Bam, again. What did she do? She just downloaded Skype onto her phone, even though she'd never used it before. It took her 5 minutes, which is less time than it takes to watch a cat video. You either do something or you don't. Just do it. Parents say they want to help their kids, but when they learn what it takes, they make excuses. See the irony? Actually, multiple layers of irony. We accuse our kids of not being responsible and immediately taking action, but we don't. Another layer. We screwed them up over a period of many years, but then we want the solution to happen in 3 minutes or less, shorter than a cat video, and without getting up off the couch. In fact, it would be better if the solution could just arrive while we're watching a cat video. This mother just did it. Started the training and said, yeah, I'm ready. Got Skype. We talked. Just she and I. She listened, which of course is what she's beginning to learn to do with her daughter. If she doesn't listen, how can she tell her daughter to listen? Most parents don't listen at all. They just make excuses for their children, and then they wonder why their children make excuses. I repeated what I'd already said, and I modeled for her what the delivery could look like. I sent her to chapter 6 in the Ridiculously Effective Parenting Training for an additional piece that she could say to her daughter that would make a big difference. Yet another reason to do the parenting training. She knew somebody in real love, and I suggested she get additional support from him and keep coming back here to the Facebook Live page, the one that you're on right now. And she said, I will. That's commitment. Not, I'll think about it. Well, it's not a good time. I've heard them all. I've heard every excuse there is. This is a mother. This is a real parent. Later, she said, I'm so grateful for our call and the direction you provided. I feel hope for the first time in quite a while. I will keep you posted, she said. Most people say, I'll keep you posted, and that means goodbye and stick your head in the toilet. She didn't just say it, she did it. So she wrote back the next day. Maybe it was 2 days. She said, I had the conversation with my daughter yesterday, just like we discussed. Impressive, because she did it within a day. She said, I remained calm. I wasn't angry. And I mimicked the body language you had on our call. That's pretty smart. She said, it worked beautifully. I could hardly believe how smoothly the conversation went, especially compared to past talks and considering how serious this one was. Your confidence makes all the difference in the world. Your daughter feels lost and confused, as proven by her behavior. So if you appear in her life as a rock rising beneath her feet, it can be quite reassuring to her. If you're sand, you're not going to be reassuring. If you're just more water, you're going to help her drown. I have watched people personally who were drowning suddenly realize that they were not going to drown. Their foot touched the bottom. They felt a rope. They touched a hand. The look on their faces is priceless. I'm not going to be dead. And that's what you're feeling right now. The confidence of, I'm not alone, I can do this. So mom continues. She admitted to vaping, marijuana using, all kinds of things, sneaking out of the house. She just admitted to it. And I think in great part because I wasn't angry at her and I was confident. And I think you're right. So mom says, I told her that we'll be doing regular and random urine testing, and she actually seemed happy about that. She said all her friends are doing this stuff, vaping, using marijuana, and now she has a reason to say no. This is phenomenal. Mom, you're just like incredible that you did this with her. In fact, mom says she thanked me for helping her. That wouldn't have happened if you'd been afraid. This is parenting Hall of Fame stuff. You took action. You acted. You were loving and firm. You loved and taught, which is what parenting is. Almost no parents are really observing their children and seeing what is happening. So the kids are surrounded by what? Just other children who are also lost and confused and doing whatever they want. And they all accept chaos as normal. They're all immersed in the distractions of the world. They're immersed up to their noses in sewage, but because everybody's there in the sewer with them, well, then it becomes normal. Mom says, we had a great conversation, and she openly shared her experiences. You won't believe, to everybody who's listening, when you're calm, loving, teaching, confident, you won't believe what your children will share with you. They're dying to share their lives with somebody, but they don't trust you. That's why they don't. Parents say, I just don't know why my child's withdrawn. Oh, I'll take a shot. If your child is withdrawing from you, they don't trust you, and you've given them reason not to, because they want to. So mom says she openly shared her experiences. I took her phone away, and she didn't resent it. And as a result, we spent time talking together this weekend. I gave her a drug test that I got at the drugstore for marijuana, which of course came back positive. And I ordered the online inexpensive drug panels that you suggested. I suggest all parents this particular site that is relatively inexpensive because it's run by the parents of teenagers and they're not really interested in making a profit on the tests. They just want to get them out to you. Mom says, I'm looking forward to continuing with the videos and we'll keep you posted. I believe you. I know I have a long way to go, but it felt really good to take this first step. Thank you. Well, I'm thrilled for you. You are saving your daughter's life. This is what real parents do. This parent went from, I went to Facebook Live, to the training, to talking to me by Skype, to making a difference in her child's life in 3 days. Real parents do this. You may not know how to do that yet yourself. Well, that's okay. You can learn. It doesn't matter where we are in the moment. It matters where we're going. And we can all do it. All of our reasons not to don't matter when it comes to saving our children's lives. New subject. This must be the day for teenage girls. I know a woman who had considerable difficulty with her teenage girl. Very willful, just defiant, rebellious, just angry, just seething. And mother was getting nowhere. She was doing her best. She did get the parenting training, but her daughter just stiffened her back and fought. In mom's defense, here mom is just barely learning to love and teach, and this daughter fought her like a wildcat, and mom would sometimes get defensive, which of course just ruins everything. Rarely do I do this. I just don't have time, and I prefer that parents do this themselves. But this mother had really tried, and she was failing. The daughter was getting worse. So I offered to talk to the daughter every day. It was like watching a child being born. In a loving environment, her fighting and her resistance just didn't make sense to her anymore. She said so. And in a very short time, she just stopped. She stopped fighting. She went from so angry and rebellious that mom was getting to throwing her out of the house. She just stopped fighting me almost immediately. And she quit fighting her mother. She quit fighting her siblings. Children who feel loved don't do these things. They don't fight and be defiant and difficult, and they just don't. The daughter, after one of our many phone conversations, wrote and said, I'm having another good day. Another. I sometimes feel a little weird, like I'm in another world. Like I don't know what to think about or do. It's fun, though, not to be afraid, she said. It's a teenage girl. Yeah, it's very fun. What you're experiencing is the fun of being yourself. I didn't change you. All I did was love and teach you. And you chose to trust me. And once the fear is gone, the pain is gone, and all of the fighting to defend yourself is gone, you know what's left? You. And you like it. Huh, who knew? She says it's easy to forget that feeling, though, the good feeling. I go back to dwelling on anger and crazy thoughts, and then I get scared of my own thoughts. When I really remember, though, that I'm loved, not just in my head, but in my heart, that you love me. Now, this isn't about me. I'm just a person who's loving her. Could have been anybody. She said, when I remember that, it's the best feeling ever, she underlines. I still have crazy thoughts occasionally, but they're gradually going away. She worried about that a lot in the beginning. Am I going to be having these crazy thoughts forever? Nope, because you won't need them. You'll discover that happiness is more fun. Or I like to say funner, even though it's not really a word. Powerful insight on your part to say that they're going away. We have fear and anger and crazy thoughts only because we're in pain. That's it. When love heals the wounds and the pain goes away, we don't need the fear and then the insanity that follows. She says, sometimes I'll notice crazy thoughts happening and anger, but it's more now like kind of a background noise instead of straight in my face and taking over my life. She asked me, do you ever get shocked when you read or hear the stuff I say? Because she's said some things that would pretty much end a conversation anywhere. No, not once. That feels very loving to a child. I just listen. I listen to her pain. I care about her. All her angry, nutty thoughts are just expressions of her pain, which I've told her many times, which takes the sting out of it for her. Because she feels defective when she has these crazy thoughts. And even though she was defiant and rebellious and angry, she didn't like the feeling either. And they're not expressions of her, just her pain. All of us parents need to remember that. If we remember that one thing, that all of these behaviors of our children that are unacceptable are just expressions of their pain, well, then we don't get angry anymore. Now we feel compassion. That's what I felt for her when I talked to her. And at first she was still pretty feisty. She said, thanks for speaking with me every day. Spontaneously, a teenager says, thank you. Not a common event. She says, it's pretty undeniable that unconditional love is a real thing when after every conversation I have with you, I feel better and brighter. Powerful testimony. Yeah, it really works. Love is an eternal divine principle. Pain and fear are not. The girl, the teenager says, I always thought of myself as somebody who fights people and doesn't need anybody. I thought that's who I was. So I was always resisting other people, but always feeling alone. Yeah, kind of sad, huh? She says, with constant thoughts and fear, without the constant thoughts and fear, I feel I'm starting to have room to be myself. I'm not saying I know who I am yet. I just mean that I have never had a calm mind before until now, ever, in my life that I remember. There's always been something spinning in my head. I couldn't focus on things. I couldn't think clearly. Now, to all parents, listen to this child. She's telling you about your child. When she felt loved, she lost her fears. Not all the time, but much of the time. She's still learning and was left with calm. Before finding love, while consumed with fear, she couldn't even think clearly. Now, you're starting to sense something coming. I've done this with thousands of kids and parents, and I can tell you that all children behaving badly, with rare genetic exceptions and people born with certain diseases, all children behaving badly simply don't feel loved. That's all. It's not ADHD. This girl says she had all the symptoms of ADHD. I couldn't learn. I couldn't pay attention. I had a short attention span. I would act out all the symptoms of ADHD. But when my mind calmed, when I wasn't afraid, when I felt loved, gone. Now I can focus. Kids don't have ADHD or ODD or all the alphabet soup. It's pain, and using any behavior that alleviates the pain for any time. While they're in pain, they can't do schoolwork. You want to know why your child's doing poorly in school? Oh, parents hate this answer. You. We didn't know how to love them. There's no blaming. But us, they're in pain. They can't listen. They can't cooperate. So to parents, do you want your children to be happy and not behave insanely? You want to do something about the falling grades and the skipping classes and the vaping and the everything. Then do something. Learn to love them. One woman said to me, I would do anything to help my child. And I said, didn't even think about it, just popped out. I said, prove it. What do you mean? Well, you just told me you'd do anything. Prove it. I gave her several things she could do. She didn't do any of them. Whereas the first mother that we talked about did, so is this one. Learn to love them and teach them. The teenager concludes, I always thought I had no control over my own brain. You know how many kids are out there thinking, I just become angry, I just become violent or defiant, or my thoughts are no control over their own brain, ADHD. Like I couldn't listen to other people, she says, or cooperate with them. I thought I just automatically argued about everything, that I couldn't help it. Well, before feeling loved, you couldn't help it. That's true. All you could do is react to pain. Then she says, she concludes, but now I can think clearly. I still don't know quite who I am, but that's okay. I'm figuring it out. I feel like I'm having a sacred experience. Kill me. Beautiful. Listen to it again, rewind. This is what is possible for your children in almost all cases. You want to fight with them, or you want them to have a sacred experience while they feel loved by you. But it takes incredible diligence on your part. It takes action. You have to love and teach over and over and over again. But all that loving and teaching is enormously easier than all the fighting and the pain and the defiance and the terrible stuff that just kills our kids. We can learn how to do this. We'll talk about it again tomorrow.